truth is, your life will never rise beyond the level of the choices you make within yourself. Real change does not begin in the world around you. It begins in the world within you. When you choose responsibility over blame, progress over perfection, truth over comfort, and growth over fear, you begin to reclaim your power. You begin to shape your life from the inside out, letting go of what no longer serves you, building the habits that align with your vision, releasing perfection, so you can finally move forward. These are not small acts. These are declarations. Each one says, I am not a victim of my past. I am a builder of my future. And when you live with that mindset, your days become meaningful, your struggles become fuel, and your life becomes a reflection of your strength. So don't wait to be ready. Don't wait to be perfect. Don't wait for permission. Begin now. Grow forward. Change yourself and watch how your life changes with you. Inner change precedes. Outer change is a principle that sits at the core of personal transformation. It means that before you can expect your life to improve on the outside, whether that's in relationships, career, health, or finances, you must first shift something within yourself. This could be your mindset, your beliefs, your emotions, or your level of awareness. Real and lasting change starts with who you are, not just what you do. People often look to the external world to solve their problems. They believe that if they move to a new city, get a better job, or find the right person, everything will fall into place. But they quickly find that the same problems follow them, like shadows that refuse to disappear. Why? Because the root of those problems lies within. A person who is constantly anxious, for example, may switch environments multiple times hoping to find peace. But until they deal with the anxiety inside, no environment will feel right. The same is true for someone who carries self-doubt or resentment. The outside world can't fix what's happening internally. Our external life is a mirror. It reflects the state of our inner world. If your mind is cluttered, your surroundings often reflect that chaos. If your self-esteem is low, you might find yourself in relationships or situations that reinforce that belief. When someone becomes more confident and centered, the way others respond to them often changes, even without them saying a word. That's because energy, presence, and attitude are felt long before words are spoken. Changing from the inside means becoming conscious of your thought patterns and emotional reactions. It means identifying beliefs that no longer serve you and challenging them. If you believe deep down that you're not worthy of success, that belief will sabotage every opportunity you come across. You might procrastinate, overthink, or quit too soon, not because the opportunity wasn't real, but because your inner narrative didn't allow you to receive it. When that belief changes, when you truly begin to see yourself as worthy, your behavior naturally follows. You start taking action. You begin speaking differently. You carry yourself with more assurance. And the world responds in kind. This kind of change doesn't happen overnight. Inner work requires honesty, patience, and often a willingness to sit with discomfort. It's much easier to blame others than to take responsibility for your reactions. It's easier to say the world is unfair than to admit you haven't been showing up as your best self. But those who commit to inner change begin to see the external shifts they've always wanted. They find themselves making better choices, attracting better people, and walking into better opportunities, not because the world magically changed, but because they did. Think about how a tree grows. You don't see the roots, but they are everything. They hold the tree steady, feed it, and allow it to stretch toward the sky. Without strong roots, the tree can't stand. The same is true with people. You can build the best image, wear the best clothes, say all the right things, but if your inner world is weak, the foundation will eventually crack. When the storms of life come, and they always do, only those who've done the inner work can stay grounded. Inner change builds resilience, clarity, and self-awareness. It teaches you not to be a slave to circumstances. It gives you the power to respond instead of react. And once you've changed on the inside, you begin to move through the world differently, not out of fear or need, but from a place of strength and alignment. That's when real transformation begins. That's when life starts to match who you've become. Responsibility is empowering because it places the power of change directly into your own hands. When you take full responsibility for your life, your choices, your reactions, your mindset, You no longer wait for someone else to fix things for you. You stop pointing fingers and start asking better questions, like what can I do differently, or how can I grow from this? That shift alone transforms the way you experience everything, from challenges to victories. Most people view responsibility as a burden. They associate it with blame or guilt. But in truth, responsibility is freedom. It means you're no longer trapped by your circumstances. You're no longer a victim of the past or a prisoner of what others did or didn't do. You're in the driver's seat. You choose the direction. You choose the speed. And even if the road gets rough, you know you still control the wheel. This doesn't mean that everything is your fault. Life throws unexpected events, losses, and hardships. But even when something isn't your fault, how you respond is always your responsibility. That response is where your power lives. You might not control the storm, but you can decide how to sail through it. That decision, your attitude, your energy, your mindset, can be the difference between staying stuck and moving forward. People who embrace responsibility tend to rise. Why? Because they're not waiting for perfect conditions. They create them. They're not waiting for motivation. They build habits. They don't need everyone to believe in them. They start by believing in themselves. And with every step they take, they prove to themselves that change is possible, that growth is within reach, that success isn't just for the lucky, it's for the committed. Taking responsibility also builds self-respect. When you own your life, even the mistakes, you begin to trust yourself more. You stop running from your past because you've made peace with it. You stop fearing failure because you know you'll learn from it. That kind of mindset creates momentum. It draws opportunities, people, and progress into your life, not by chance, but by choice. In relationships, responsibility is just as powerful. Instead of blaming others for how you feel, you begin to communicate clearly. Instead of waiting for others to change, you lead by example. That energy shifts the dynamic. It's not about control, it's about ownership. And people respect those who carry that kind of self-leadership. At its core, responsibility means saying, I am the author of my story. You don't hand the pen to anyone else. You don't wait for someone to rewrite your past. You begin writing the future right now, with every thought, every decision, and every action. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Because once you realize that your life is shaped more by your responses than your circumstances, you'll never see yourself, or the world, the same way again. Habits build or break you is a truth that applies to every part of life. Who you are today is largely a reflection of the habits you've practiced over time, both consciously and unconsciously. Your thoughts, actions, and routines either move you closer to the life you want or pull you further away from it. The most successful people in any field don't rely solely on talent or luck. They rely on habits. And the most frustrated people, even those with great potential, often stay stuck because of the habits they've allowed to shape them. Habits are powerful because they operate in the background. Once formed, they don't ask for permission. They guide your behavior without much thought. This is why it's said that first you create your habits, and then your habits create you. Every day, your small choices stack up. Waking up early or hitting snooze, reading a book or scrolling endlessly, exercising or making excuses. These tiny decisions, repeated daily, form the structure of your life. Over time, they determine your health, your mindset, your relationships, and your success. What makes habits so impactful is their compounding nature. Just like money in a bank account, with interest, positive habits multiply their benefits over time. A person who reads for 30 minutes a day may not feel drastically different after a week, but after a year, their knowledge, vocabulary, and thinking are on a different level. The same applies to fitness, discipline, or saving money. Small efforts, done consistently, create massive results. On the flip side, negative habits also compound. A donut a day doesn't feel dangerous. Skipping one workout doesn't seem like a big deal. But over months and years, those seemingly harmless choices become chains that are hard to break. The real danger lies in the fact that most habits are built unconsciously. We repeat actions because they feel comfortable or familiar, not because they're good for us. And by the time we realize the cost, we're already stuck in a loop. Changing habits requires awareness first. You have to become the observer of your own behavior. You have to ask yourself honestly, are my daily actions aligned with the person I want to become? Once you recognize a pattern that isn't serving you, change becomes possible. But it takes effort. Replacing an old habit with a new one isn't about willpower alone. It's about systems. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. That's why people with big dreams, but poor routines often struggle. They want the results but haven't committed to the process. Building strong habits starts with simplicity. One small, clear action that you can repeat daily. Wake up and make your bed. Drink a glass of water. Write down your goals. These acts might seem trivial, but they send a powerful message to your brain. I am in control. Over time, they create discipline, and discipline, when sustained, leads to freedom. You gain confidence, not by thinking about change, but by doing the things that align with the change you seek. When you study high performers, you notice a pattern. They're not perfect, but they're consistent. Their success is not built on occasional bursts of motivation, but on habits that make excellence their default. And when life gets hard, as it always does, it's not motivation that carries you through. It's the habits you've trained in better times. Every habit you choose is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. If you act lazy, you reinforce the identity of someone who avoids effort. If you act disciplined, you build the identity of someone who keeps promises, even to themselves. And identity is everything, because once you believe something about yourself, your behavior starts to match that belief. Habits aren't just about what you do, they're about who you become. Letting go to grow is one of the most difficult yet liberating truths a person can learn on their journey of transformation. Growth often isn't about adding more to your life. It's about removing what no longer serves you. It's about creating space for something better by releasing the weight you've been carrying for too long. That weight can take many forms: toxic relationships, limiting beliefs, old habits, past mistakes, regrets, or even an outdated version of yourself that no longer fits the life you want to live. People tend to hold on tightly to the familiar, even when it hurts them. There's comfort in the known, even if that comfort is rooted in pain or dysfunction. A toxic relationship, for instance, might bring emotional turmoil, yet the fear of being alone keeps someone locked in place. A limiting belief like, "I'm not good enough," might be paralyzing, yet it becomes part of one's identity, making the idea of change feel threatening. Letting go requires courage because it demands uncertainty. It asks you to trust that what lies ahead is better than what you're clinging to. But growth cannot happen in a crowded space. Just like a plant outgrows its pot, people outgrow environments, mindsets, and connections. If the roots are bound, the plant won't thrive, no matter how much sunlight it receives. The same is true for humans. You can read the best books, attend the best seminars, and make the best plans. But if you're still holding on to what's weighing you down, your growth will be stunted. Letting go isn't a loss, it's preparation. You're making room for strength, clarity, and a new version of yourself to take form. Sometimes letting go means forgiving someone who never apologized. Sometimes it means walking away from a dream that no longer aligns with who you've become. Other times it means releasing control, trusting the process, and allowing life to unfold rather than forcing it into a box. These choices are not easy, and they often come with grief, even if what you're letting go of was unhealthy. It's natural to mourn comfort, familiarity, or a past identity, but within that space of letting go lies the seed of transformation. Letting go also challenges the ego. The ego wants to be right, to be in control, to feel secure. It clings to labels, stories, and attachments. But growth often requires surrender. It demands that you rise above ego and move with the deeper knowing that freedom lives beyond control. When you let go, you're not giving up. You're giving yourself permission to evolve. In many cases, the very thing you refuse to let go of is the thing keeping you stuck. Holding on to anger keeps you from peace. Holding on to fear keeps you from opportunity. Holding on to perfection keeps you from progress. The act of release is not passive, it's an act of strength. It says, I'm choosing my future over my past. I'm choosing freedom over fear. True growth is not a destination. It's a process of shedding, refining, and rediscovering. You grow by removing what dims your light so your true self can shine through. You grow by letting go of who you were told to be so you can become who you're meant to be. And as painful as it may be in the moment, the space created by letting go becomes the foundation for something far greater. In that space, your real growth begins, not just in what you do, but in who you become. Progress over perfection is a mindset that frees people from the invisible chains of unrealistic standards and gives them permission to move forward without waiting to be flawless. Perfection, though often glorified, is an illusion. It keeps people trapped in hesitation, fear, and self-criticism. Progress, on the other hand, is real, tangible, and empowering. It builds momentum, confidence, and growth. When you focus on progress instead of perfection, you begin to understand that consistency and effort are far more valuable than flawless execution. Perfection tells you not to start until you're ready. It whispers that you're not good enough yet, that your work isn't complete, your skills aren't sharp enough, or your plan isn't polished. It convinces you to wait for the right time, which rarely comes. Progress doesn't ask for perfect timing. It only asks for a single step forward. Even if the step is messy, awkward, or uncertain, it's still forward motion. That's what makes it powerful. Progress builds habits, while perfection delays action. People often get caught in cycles of overthinking and procrastination because of the fear of making mistakes. They hesitate to launch their idea, speak their truth, or try something new unless they believe they can do it without error. But growth doesn't work like that. The path of progress is filled with mistakes, missteps, and course corrections. Each one teaches something valuable. Waiting for perfection robs you of those lessons. It keeps you in your head instead of in motion. When you embrace progress, you allow yourself to evolve through the process. You stop defining your worth by flawless results and start measuring it by your willingness to keep going. A person who shows up every day and improves by 1% is far more powerful than someone who does nothing while waiting for the perfect moment. Over time, those tiny improvements compound. Small progress made consistently beats perfect effort made rarely. This shift in mindset changes how you approach your goals, your work, and your self-image. Progress also builds confidence in a way that perfection never can. Perfection is rigid. It says you must get it right the first time, or you've failed. Progress is flexible. It lets you try, learn, adjust, and grow. That adaptability is where real strength is formed. Confidence doesn't come from getting everything right. It comes from knowing that you can handle what goes wrong. Every time you choose progress over perfection, you train yourself to trust your ability to figure things out. Choosing progress helps you enjoy the journey, not just chase the destination. It allows you to be more present and engaged in the process of becoming. You begin to see value in effort, not just in it. That shift brings more joy, more patience, and more self-compassion. You stop beating yourself up for what you're not, and start appreciating what you're becoming. Perfection leads to comparison, judgment, and burnout. Progress leads to self-respect, momentum, and sustainable growth. In relationships, creativity, health, business, or personal development, progress is always the better guide. You won't always have perfect days. You'll stumble, fall behind, get distracted, or feel off course. But if you return to progress, even in small ways, you'll keep moving forward. That's what builds resilience. That's what creates long-term transformation. You start to realize that imperfect action taken now is better than perfect action delayed forever. Perfection seeks approval. It tries to impress others and avoid criticism. Progress seeks growth. It's inwardly motivated and driven by the desire to become better, not just look better. When you choose progress, you stop performing and start becoming. You stop hiding behind potential and start living in purpose. And over time, progress does something that perfection never can. It creates results. It builds real strength, real character, and real success. Progress over perfection is not about lowering your standards. It's about lifting your willingness to act. It's choosing to begin, to show up, to try, and to keep going, even when it's messy. The truth is, nothing truly great is born out of perfection. It's born out of persistence. Here sits a powerful and emotionally grounded conclusion that ties together your entire speech series, from change yourself to change your life, to progress over perfection. It sets written in the same deep motivational tone,